Hello, my name is Kamel Green, and today I want to talk about desensitization within movies. Desensitization is something that a lot of us don't really take into consideration when it comes to how much it affects us in our life and how much it affects the things we do and how we react to the things we do and even how we feel. Um, I like to say that I'm involved in third person effect because I like to think that I'm aware of how media affects other individuals, but I feel like media doesn't affect me because I'm aware of it. Desensitization to me is very huge and can be really problematic. Um, just looking at the three movies that I watched and just looking at life in general, I just want to take a step back first before I go into the project matters and go further into desensitization and how much of a problem it is in society. Um, for example, all the social media that we are involved with, such as Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, etc., um, it forces us to be immune to the things we see, and that consequently forces us to not have the same reactions than how we would have. Basically, kind of suppressing and kind of immunitizing our emotions. For example, when I was younger, and I can say younger in an older age because how fast media and technology evolved, 5 years ago is extremely old. 10 years ago is ridiculously old. I was born in 1994. I'm 22 years old. Just in my middle school days, YouTube was just out getting popular. I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm from the Silicon Valley. So when new technology and stuff like that happened, I was one of the first individuals to experience those things. So Facebook, all those things. I was definitely involved in those things from MySpace and all that. I can distinctly remember when YouTube got big, and I remember me being young, watching a lot of fighting videos. And when I searched those fighting videos, each time someone got hit, I felt it. Like I'm like, wow, to the point where after 5 minutes of watching a fighting video, I couldn't even click on it anymore. I didn't want to watch it because it hurt me. It was like I felt the emotions. Like it wasn't as if it was like I was able to see someone really getting hit and it affected me. I felt for the person that was getting hit. Um, the fact that desensitization has been rampant in my life shows how much desensitization affects people when people don't even know about it. It's now 2017, and over again with Twitter and Vine and Instagram, I'll log on my Instagram and I'll see someone get knocked out, and it's just like, whoa, I keep scrolling, someone got knocked out. And it doesn't affect me anymore. And with that not affecting me anymore, that's me and me being aware of how desensitization works and how media affects us. The public is not as aware as it. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean it as in stupidity. I mean ignorance as in the lack of knowledge, the lack of information, the lack of understanding how much things affect us. And I feel like as a public, we are ignorant towards that. And with us being ignorant to how much media desensitizes us, shows how much we will act accordingly when something like that of real matter happens and how we will act as civilians and people. You get the bystander effect, you get people not caring or people not even feeling the emotions of things that's happening. That's crazy because with desensitization, I feel like years back, if there was a fight going on, the first thing they'll do is try to dissolve and resolve that altercation. They'll try to stop that fight. Now, if there's a fight going on, the first thing people do is they run to their phones to record it. Which is crazy because instead of seeing a human in distress and trying to calm that down, now we use that as entertainment because it's not as emotional. It doesn't have as much as an emotional impact that it has on us. Now when we see a fight, it doesn't have much as an emotional impact on us. So we run to our phones to record it as a form of entertainment because it entertains us. When I get on Instagram and I see fights, it entertains me. When I get on Facebook and I see videos of people getting hurt or people doing things, it entertains me opposed to hurting me emotionally. And I feel like that's ultimately problematic in the society because we are now having emotions that we do not feel, and we have an urge to want to go further and further and further because of the fact that what we constantly see, what's constantly cultivating our mind, what's being framed to this is violent and this is what you need to do, is now forcing us as humans in this society, in this media society, to want more. This is a good transition into a deeper explanation onto the project and with the three movies that I selected. I've selected three movies. The first movie is called The Great Train Robbery, and that movie was produced in 1903. The second movie was The Godfather, a movie that a lot of people are familiar with, not everyone. And that movie was produced in 1972. And then the last movie is Hostile, and that movie was produced in 2005. I tried to distinctly choose those three time periods because I feel like those show a real transition with culture and with desensitization, and it shows the upper incline with volatile actions throughout the movie and violence throughout the movie. And it shows from the Great Train Robbery how someone would get hit and then they'll fall down, and that was considered violence. It would show The Godfather and how even though that movie was a movie that portrayed violence throughout the whole movie, how it still was in no comparison to the violence we now have in the 21st century. As you can see in the Great Train Robbery, the violence isn't as volatile. It looks, if not fake, extremely fake. The gun violence to one another. You see no blood depiction throughout the movie. You can see modest behaviors. They kind of depict that, and these are previews, so these are what other people be seeing, guys and girls dancing. Um, this movie, watching the movie, it was kind of funny to me because during this time period, this movie was kind of breaking the norms of society and normal behaviors of society. Right here, it gives you a warning before it does this. In most movies nowadays, you wouldn't see this at all. In this Godfather movie, things start to become a little more volatile. You can see in the movie, it being a gangster movie already, there's going to be a lot of violence throughout the movie. And within this movie, you started to see a real incline in blood and gore throughout the movie. Seen in the last movie, there was violence, though there was no blood and gore. You see no blood depiction when there was a gun battle and people started to get shot. In this movie, you start to see more things that scare you. For example, this depiction right here of this bloody leg laying on the bed, you start to see more emotions being involved in the deaths and more emotions being involved in what's scaring people. Right here, you see choking, and you can see the eyes rolling back and things like that. Things that are gonna make people a little more scared. Right here, this gun violence right here, you can see the death throughout, and you can see the finishing death, something that you wouldn't have seen in the past movie. This last movie right here, the Hostile movie, you can see a complete incline in the violence throughout this movie. Watching this movie, you can see how it's like now people have an urge to see something that's even more violent. This movie depicts just horror throughout the whole movie, and it's not just regular gun violence horror. It's a straight punishment. It's literally people are trying. In conclusion of this project, desensitization ultimately immunizes our emotions and leads movie production and movie makers to have to increase the violence throughout the movie. This was clearly shown in the three movies that I've shown today: The Godfather, The Great Train Robbery, and the final movie being Hostile. These are three movies that were during three different time periods, and you can see the incline and increase of violence throughout the movie. Desensitization just kind of puts a hard plate over our emotions, and the more and more we see violence throughout media, the less it impacts us more, which means that when we do want that temptation or that urge to, watch movies and see violence and stuff like that, we're going to want a greater amount of violence, because if we see violence that doesn't affect our emotions anymore, then that movie isn't good, or that's not entertaining to us anymore. So in order to entertain us now, through desensitization, because of what we've been consuming in everyday media, it makes us have to see greater amount of violence for it to even affect our emotions. Thank you.